Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. How I know. I missed yesterday, and I'm running a little bit later than usual today, but I'm going to make up for it because I've got a full platter today. And let me get this moved over here because this is something I want to talk about. All right, all right. Well, no one's in here yet, but that's okay. I'm going to start on this anyhow. And let's start with the big news that Democrats absolutely are going to hate. All right. President Trump, as we've been hearing on the news, Israel has struck a peace accord with Hamas. And the last of the 20 uh, surviving hostages that Hamas and the Palestinians, Gazans took over 2 years ago was released. Innocent people who were victims, not of a war, not of anything that you would normally act. They were taken hostage by terrorists. Many at a concert where they're singing and dancing and just living their best lives. Then on October 7th, 2 years ago, Hamas, people from Gaza, murdered and took dozens of people as hostages. Many of them died. But they finally got the last 20 who were still living, and the bodies of the last ones that died that Hamas did not release. They finally got them back, or they're in the process of getting them all back. But what did Israel have to do as part of this great peace plan? They had to release almost 2,000 Palestinian prisoners, including hundreds of terrorists, hundreds of them. 154 of the worst offenders were deported to Egypt. Israel on Monday freed nearly 2,000 Palestinians, including hundreds of terror convicts serving life terms, from its prisons as part of the deal to reach a ceasefire and release hostages held by Hamas in the Gaza Strip. So, for every Israeli that was released, they had to release almost 10 Palestinians. Now, you tell me that really doesn't seem like a fair exchange. Usually, when you have an exchange, like an exchange, it's usually a one for one exchange. That's what you would expect. But unfortunately, it was almost a 10-1. Shortly after 20 living hostages were free, Israel put 1,968 Palestinian prisoners on buses that deported for the West Bank and Gaza. Among those free were 250 security prisoners, most of them serving one or more life terms for deadly attacks on Israelis. They include a Palestinian police officer who joined in the lynching of two reservists at the start of the Second Intifada in 2000. A Gaza resident who raped and murdered a 13-year-old boy. Raped and murdered a 13-year-old. But he's one of the people that the Palestinians, the Hamas, Gaza, absolutely had to have released before they would release 20 Israelis who'd been kept hostage for over 2 years, who were kidnapped for over 2 years. They had to get back this man that raped and murdered a 13-year-old. And dozens of other terrorists responsible for a series of suicide bombings and other attacks. Well, obviously they didn't suicide if they released them. They're still living. Hamas said 154 of the prisoners were deported to Egypt. At the same time, in southern Israel, Kezet prison, 1,700 Gazan detainees then involved in the October 7th, 2023 massacre who were arrested as unlawful combatants during the war went free. Among the detainees were a handful of women and children. Families of the terrorist victims who were notified by the government ahead of the release expressed intense pain and grief coupled with joy for the returning hostages and their loved ones. Early in the morning, police and prison officials arrived at the Ofer prison near Ramallah in the West Bank to prepare the release of the security prisoners. Some 88 were sent back to the West Bank and East Jerusalem. IDF forces could be heard using tear gas and stun grenades to disperse crowds on the other side of the nearby West Bank security barrier gathered to celebrate the release of the prisoners. In the hours leading up to the release, police and IDF troops in the West Bank and Eastern Jerusalem kept a close eye on freed security prisoners and their families to ensure their release wasn't placed publicly in Israeli-controlled territory. And who is this? Why, good morning, Dar.
Ahoy.
And how be you this fine and glorious morning?
Old, ugly, and tired, just like always.
Oh, yes. I'm quite familiar with that.
Yeah, most of us are.
Yep.
So what's going on, man?
Well, I'm going over some of the lesser known facts in the U.S. about what happened yesterday in Israel.
Oh, okay.
All right. Like, they're not talking very much about almost a 10-for-1 exchange
Yeah, I know. I noticed that everybody's been really quiet about that, and
right?
I don't get it.
And the fact that some of these prisoners who were released, one of them that was demanded to be released was a man who had raped and murdered a 13-year-old boy.
Yeah,
But he was so important that Hamas and Gaza demanded he be released in order for there to be a ceasefire. Man that raped and murdered a 13-year-old boy.
yeah. Well, we're not dealing with the best of people.
No, we're not. We're obviously not. Then, of course, people who directed suicide bombers, they had to be released.
Well, yeah,
So, and other people convicted of terrorism, they were all so important and serving life sentences that they had to be absolutely released.
brings a whole new meaning to the um, didn't do right, didn't do nothing
Yep,
phrase.
it sure does.
The didn't do people.
But there's been, and some other things the left is not talking about, at least not too much. President Herzog of Israel is to give Donald Trump the Presidential Medal of Honor, Israel's highest civilian award. Now, when they do mention this on the left, they bring up that Biden also got it, and so did Obama.
I know that Biden and Obama got the Peace Prize, but I didn't realize they got the Israeli one.
Yeah, well, the on social media, I haven't heard it on the news so much, but on the social media side, well, so what if Trump's getting it? So did Biden and Obama. That's the way they're uh,
Yeah,
denigrating,
see,
attempting to denigrate Trump's getting it.
yeah, so yeah, again, I know that they both got the Peace Prize, but I wasn't aware that they had received the Israeli highest honor.
Yeah.
And if they did, I don't know why they did, because neither one of them did a damn thing for Israel. So that seems kind of,
Yeah. It's almost like it's perfunctory.
yeah. So as far as the Nobel Peace Prize goes, that hasn't been anything with any cachet for quite some time. Now, I do know that they gave it to the Nobel Peace Prize for this cycle to the Venezuelan lady that's been
Mhm.
leading the resistance and all that. And she is well deserving of that for what she's
Oh yeah.
done. Now, as far as I'm concerned, and just between me, you, and the Fence Post, and all the gorgeous and stunningly cool people that are in our chat, because they are obviously those things. Um, I think waiting till the next go around to give them the Peace Prize is a better thing, because we still don't know how this stuff with Israel and Gaza and all that is going to pan out. So
Well, like
that being said,
I put in the title of the stream today, you know, how long is this going to last?
yeah, exactly.
You know, uh, if it lasts 6 months, I'll consider that a win.
Yeah. Oh, obviously, yeah. So yeah, I'm just but that's just my personal thoughts, and um, I know for some people that's a hot take, but
Well, I mean, I'm obviously I don't disagree with you. Um, but you see, you've also though touched on another part of this that I had brought up.
oh, okay.
Okay, which is absolutely, uh, let me. I'd go and get. I forgot to grab something to drink before I started the stream. Okay,
Please.
where is? Here we go.
Wonderful candidate for Peace Prize because he has brought not only peace in South Asia, saved millions of people, their lives, and today here in Sharm el Sheikh, achieving peace in Gaza is saving millions of lives in the Middle East. Mr. President, I would like to salute you for your exemplary leadership, visionary leadership, and I think that you're the man this world needed most at this point in time. World would always remember you as a man who did everything and went out of the way to stop 7 and today 8 wars.
That was the Prime Minister of Pakistan
Yeah.
has officially nominated Trump for the Nobel Peace Prize for 2020 to be awarded next year.
Yeah.
That is, I mean, Pakistan is not one of my favorite countries on the whole. They're rather rogue.
Pakistan is it's kind of like they used to say that Russia was an enigma wrapped in a secret,
Yeah.
and Pakistan is definitely an enigma. So I'm really not, 'cause sometimes they do really good and wonderful things, and other times they do stuff you're like, what the hell are you thinking, people?
Yeah.
So that's
And
kind of
then
my stance on Pakistan.
and they're not above starting wars with India.
They're not above a lot of things. So
Right. I
yeah,
mean, they've done a lot of very slimy things just in this century, just in the past 25 years. You don't have to go back into the 1970s and 80s with the stuff they pulled.
yeah.
Just look at what some of the stuff they pulled this century. Boy, it's weird saying this century, and you're actually talking about 25 years. You know?
Well, yeah. When you look at no, actually 24 years, but you look at some of the stuff they pulled during the global war on terrorism and stuff like that, and like I said, sometimes they do really wonderful, good things, and other times you're going, "What the hell were you people thinking?" So, yeah, they are definitely an enigma. I'll give them that. It's just I don't fully understand the way their minds operate.
No, neither do I. But this was the signing of the Trump Declaration for Enduring Peace and Prosperity, a joint memorandum that implements the Trump Peace Agreement, formally ending more than 2 years of war in Gaza and setting out a framework for lasting regional cooperation. And the thing is Trump was 4 hours late showing up for this.
Yeah.
And surprisingly, not one important person left and
Yeah.
went home. They all stayed there for him to wait on him to sign it. And I was trying
This
to
guy goes.
find,
Oh,
I
go
was
ahead.
trying to find a video of it because I saw it and now I can't find it anywhere. NBC was covering this whole thing. And Trump gets up to give his speech. This whole mess is centering around Trump. He is the key person for this.
Yeah.
And just about a minute and a half or two into Trump's speech, NBC cuts away from it.
Yep.
They let everybody else say whatever they, say their whole thing. No interruptions. But Trump gets up there and NBC cuts him off.
Well, yeah, they can't allow him to look good, right?
That is so absolutely disrespectful, not just to Trump, but to the office of the presidency. They ought to have at least given the president of the United States the airtime
Yeah.
for something that was there to honor him as president of the United States.
It's not the first time they've done it. So
no, but it just it really bothered me. I mean, all the disrespect they've shown him over the past decade. It's never really gotten under my skin. It's always, for me, it's been well, what do you expect?
Yeah.
But yesterday got under my skin. That just absolutely got under my skin that they did that. That really, there is no excuse for it. There's absolutely no excuse for them to cut away from it. But there's going to be some people, they're going to have to eat some crow.
Oh, big time.
Okay. Well, this woman off The View, especially, I got a video for you to watch, for us to watch. Hey, Paul, good morning. Okay. This was actually back around Christmas, the Christmas tree, the menorah there. And this is Elisa Farah.
I thought you liked me. Now I see you don't, because you're going to watch a view video.
Well, you'll like it. You'll like this.
My point when I say I'm not going to be apocalyptic, it's not changing a tune. It's not making every single thing a 5-alarm fire. Yeah. If he does good, if he gets the Israeli hostages out, I promise I will wear a MAGA hat for one day on the show and say, thank you for doing it. Yeah. She'll knock it right off my head. But you have to be able to cheer for wins when they happen and then call out relentlessly the wrongdoing. Well,
I can't wait. I will watch The View that day. I will watch The View that day because I want to see. Hey, Digi, good morning. So I will definitely watch The View that day just to see her wearing that MAGA hat for the entire show. Not Whoopi and Joy Behar and such, they'll make a big issue about knocking it off her head, but
yeah,
I still want to see. She's a liberal. Come on. We'll see if she does it if she comes on the show in the next week or so to do it.
We'll see.
She shows up and she's not wearing the hat, or she just cancels out on the show for a while because she's, suddenly gone on vacation or gotten sick or something, to where they've got to bring in a guest host for her until this all blows over and everybody forgets that she made the promise. But
Yeah, we'll see.
one of our favorite attorney generals is in even more trouble. Letitia James.
Yes, she is.
Not only is she in trouble for mortgage fraud on, is it 4 or 5 different houses?
4 or 5, yeah.
Yeah, claiming that she was married to her father for one of them.
Yeah.
What's
and then
worse,
she
being
pulled a
married
bunch
to
of
your
other crap.
father or being married to your brother?
It depends on if you consummated the marriage or not.
So another one, well, it's got 5 units in, but we're going to consolidate 2 of them into one, so it only has 4, so we don't have to pay as much and obey all the laws for that. This is going to be my primary home, but again, much like Shift for Brains, he's got a huge mansion in Maryland where his family lives and everything else, but he is domicile of record in California is a 600 square foot apartment.
Yeah. Huh.
They got this huge 3,000 square foot house. Or is it 5? No, I think it's 5,000 square foot house for him, his wife, and 2 or 3 kids. And a 600 square foot is his apartment. It's his primary residence. What are they doing? All sleeping in the same room? I mean, my home is 1,150 square feet, not including the garage.
Yeah.
Okay. And I need honestly, I need another 20 by 20 room added to this place.
Well, there you go. There's your project.
I need another 20 by 20 room added to the house. I really and truly do, but I've got no place to add it. There's literally no place to add another room. But how do you put 4 or 5 people into a 600 square foot apartment?
You don't. His wife and kids do not live with him. But in order to stay a California congressman, he has to maintain an address in California. I will bet you money that he spends 2 to 3 weeks out of the year in California.
No. He's got. I'd say he probably spends 2 to 3 months because he does have to do a lot of electioneering.
Yeah, but again, he's not spending much time in California.
No,
and a lot of his electioneering, he's not even there for. Let's be real.
Oh, I'm not disagreeing with you too much here. But
I'm saying he doesn't spend much time there, and when he is there, he probably spends very little time in that apartment. Because if his kids are with him because they are on the campaign trail or whatever, they probably stay in a 5-star hotel.
Yeah.
They're not sleeping in that apartment.
The campaign is paying for it. He's not.
Exactamundo. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Let's just be real about it. The only reason he has that apartment there is so that because he has to make, that has to be his home of record. Otherwise, he can no longer be, the elected representative. Blah blah blah.
My boss
So
and I got into an interesting discussion yesterday about, how terminology is, especially dealing with in politics.
well, yeah, control the
Now,
language, control,
right.
yeah,
We're talking about a certain individual, and he goes, "Well, don't worry about it. We really shouldn't be worrying about it because the government's paying the bill." And I said, "Wait a minute, no, the government. Where's the government get its money from?" He goes, "What do you mean?" I said, "It's not the government. The government makes no money.
that's
Anything
correct.
the government's, and I don't care if it's your local municipality, your local county, your state government." And for the idiots that live in them, HOAs, HOA governments, because that's all an HOA is a government,
Yeah,
another form of government. Your state government, and then of course the federal government. Their sole purpose in life is to take money away from out of your pocket to put it in somebody else's pocket.
yeah.
That's all they do. That's all the government does.
That
They take
yeah,
they
they
take
take your
money.
money to pay for stuff, and it always cracks me up to hear people say, "Well, the government pays this, so it's not like it's no skin off my teeth." Yeah, it actually is because, like you said, they create no wealth. They create nothing. The only money they have is what they take from you.
Exactly. They've got nothing else to do. They do absolutely nothing else. But you sit there and listen to them, and you listen to people talking about it, and the excuse is, well, the government's paying for it, so what are you worried about? See, that's just it. The government's,
Government
and
is not paying for
and we sat there talking for a few minutes about it, and he goes, I'm going to absolutely have to change the way I discuss these things, aren't I? I said, like, yeah, you absolutely are, because there's no the government don't buy nothing.
it. No. Well, they do buy things. So
Well,
okay, so let's do it this way. The
when I mean
government's
buy that, they're again, it's like we said, the government is not buying it. We're buying. They're using our money to acquire it.
yeah. So if you look at it, well, the way I prefer to look at it is this way. So when we go to work for a business, right?
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't matter what the business is. The business is in the business of making money, right? So
Yep.
let's say you become a server at your local restaurant. They pay you to help them make money, right?
Yep.
And the more money they make, the more they're going to pay you. That's how it works. Now, the government buys stuff, gives, handouts to um, people and that, but they use your money to do it. So when they say when the government says we're investing in clean energy, what they're saying is we're using your money to invest in clean energy. And instead of you reaping the dividends, we get to keep the dividends. It would be like me paying for your airline ticket, but saying you have to give me the frequent traveler miles.
Right.
So that's how I look at it. But that's just
I
probably
my
saying the
main
same thing. I just take longer to say
yeah, but
it.
my people have just gotten to the idea, the government's paying for everything, and we don't have to
Yeah,
worry about it because it's not coming out of our pockets.
but it is.
But it
That's the
is, and
problem.
every time they're wanting to raise our gas tax again here. in the state of Florida.
Yeah.
And they say, well, this is how we get the tourists to help, pay our bills so that we don't have to have a state income tax by charging people gas tax, which does make, it does make sense as long as tourism is high.
Yeah.
But Florida's tourism is not as high as it used to be.
Well, yeah, that is true because of Disney and that sort of thing. That stuff's not as hot as it used to be. But there's a whole new wave of Florida tourism that I didn't even realize that was happening until I got to talking to some folks in my local area.
What's that?
So Orlando used to be the hot spot, right? Where
Oh
everybody
yeah.
came, the big tourism, but Disney's failing and theme parks are way down and all that. But the next segment of tourism that's getting hot here in Florida, and it's really cracking me up, is there are people, and it's a group of people I hate with a passion, but the snowbird tourism, right? All the people come down here to
Right.
stay for the winter, that's picking up by gobs of people. And then you know what the other new tourism thing is every year, the state of Florida has this Python roundup where they go and get these snakes out of the
Right.
Everglades and that. Do you know how many people are coming from out of state for that every year?
I had no clue.
So before, when the state was just doing it, it was kind of a low key thing. You had probably like, 200 or 300 locals doing it. Now you got thousands of people coming from out of state to hunt these snakes.
What are they
And
doing with them?
well, killing them.
I mean, do they eat them or?
Well, okay, so here's the thing.
I mean, I can imagine they use the skins to, make boots and wallets and stuff out of, because
Right. So
it is leather.
yeah, well, so here's the thing is during the snake roundup, there's a bounty on it, right? So a lot of people are coming in just, to collect those bounties. There are, however, people here in Florida who do it year round and are making money off the leather and that sort of thing, wallets, boots, all that kind of stuff. Um, but yeah, the tourism for it though is people coming out of state to collect the bounties, and it's not a lot of money. Those bounties are not huge by any stretch, but you have a lot of people that come from out of state to collect a bounty. Um, and that's what it's all about. But while they're here, they're spending monies in hotels, restaurants, and all of that sort of thing. So the Everglades are reaping that benefit. And not only that, but with all these people coming in from out of state, the python population is going down because the Everglades are on the verge of dying, right?
Right.
And so hopefully this will help bring back the Everglades. So so I'm a little torn on it. Part of me is like, we shouldn't give out of staters the bounty, blah blah blah. But another part of me is like, the more people that hunt them snakes, the better the Everglades are off. So I'm a little torn on it and not sure what to really think or do, but hey, I guess it is what it is.
Well, here you
And
go.
same way with snowbirds, all they do is screw up our traffic and everything, but they are pumping a lot of money into the economy because most snowbirds eat out a lot while they're here and doing things like that. So yeah, it is what it is.
Florida's Python Elimination Program, Burmese pythons bounties from $50 to $1,000.
Yeah.
Okay. base payment. Participants receive $50 for each python capture that is up to 4 feet. An additional $25 for every foot beyond that. Active nests are $200. A monthly bonus for $1,000 to the agent who captures the highest number of pythons, and a grand prize of $10,000 for the individual who removes the most pythons during the competition, which runs for 10 days each summer.
Yep.
In July, a participant caught 87 pythons in a single month, earning a $1,000 bounty under the program. Plus, I mean, at $50, that's another. Let's just go minimum of $50 per python. He got 87. What's 50 times 87? That's a lot of money for that.
It is. Yeah, you can make some good money doing it.
What? My math ain't that great. Let's see here. 87 times 50 is $4,350. So he got for that month. He got a minimum of $5,350. A minimum.
Yeah. So, in the grand scheme of things, right?
Yeah.
In the grand scheme, I mean, it's not a butt ton of money, but that's it's still good money.
I could live off of $5,000 a month.
I could live off of $5,000 a month, but you would have to get that every month.
Right. I'm saying, $5,000 is nothing to sneeze at.
No, it's not. I mean, it's not an insignificant amount of money by any stretch. But in the grand scheme of things, when you look at, government spending and that sort of thing, it's really not that much money. So, so I'm all about, if we can get rid of those Burmese pythons, I'm okay with it.
Okay. To be honest, I've never paid attention to the python situation here in Florida because, again, I'm up in the northwestern portion. I'm so far away from where they play.
Well, so so here's the thing. I wasn't really aware of it either. Boy, I sounded redneck every day, huh?
Yep.
But here you go. Been in Florida long enough. All right, so here you go. Here's the deal, right? Years ago, I came down to the Everglades on vacation one year.
Right.
I was not fully intending to go to the Everglades. I was fully intending going to this really nice posh resort, which happens to be down in the Everglades. So I went on this airboat ride, right? And this was years ago, and the guy was talking about how, how a lot of people in the Everglades survive, and what they do is they, you can catch the shrimp and stuff like that, and you can fish and all these kind of like fun stuff like that. And I'm thinking, wow, that is kind of cool. And I said, that'd be a great way of life. And then he was talking about how these, all these beautiful birds and all that. So, fast forward a few years, you go down and all these beautiful birds are not flying around. There's less everything, right? And it's because those Burmese pythons are eating everything. Now, what really got me going on this is that because these Burmese pythons are running out of food in the Everglades because they're eating all the bird eggs and all that. And there's not as many birds, and they are starting to adapt to cooler weather, which means they're headed for my part of Florida.
Ah,
And I'm like, I don't really think I want to be dealing with a 12-foot snake when I go outside. And part of the joys of living where I do live is because we're kind of out, in rural areas, and
right.
we have a lot of like really cool, um, wildlife in that here, and I'd like to see it stay.
Yeah, I mean, up here where I, man, sorry. I hope that didn't come through the way I just hit my mic.
I did a little bit, but don't worry about it.
Okay. Okay. I had not known that was going on.
Yeah, yeah, like I say, it's pretty interesting how all this stuff and they are starting to adapt to cooler weather coming into other parts of Florida. And so I'm all about if you can get rid of invasive species, I'm all about helping.
Oh wow. I did not watch Happy Gilmore. I am not a fan of what's his
Adam
name?
Sandler.
Yeah, I'm not an Adam Sandler fan, so I did not watch Happy Gilmore. No, but
What about Happy Gilmore?
there's a scene in the movie. Did you say there's a scene in the movie where
He wrestles
he's
that
wrestling an
alligator.
alligator and but it's not an alligator, it turns out to be a python.
Yeah.
So but anyway, back to Miss Letitia James, with the
Yeah, sorry.
houses no, that's all right. That's all right. This train, the train jumps where it jumps. But back to Letitia James, it turns out in one of her houses that she bought, her niece has been living in it.
Wow, go figure.
That's real nice of her niece living, that she's given a place for her niece to live.
Yeah.
The problem is her niece is violating probation and been hiding out from North Carolina for several years. She's got open warrants in North Carolina.
So has she been aiding and abetting?
That's it. James addressed the mortgage fraud allegation, stating, in reality, the power of attorney was never used to determine my eligibility for a mortgage for my niece for a home in the state of Virginia. My niece has children, and because I'm a good aunt, I wanted her to have a home. So, efforts to locate Thompson at the Virginia properties have been met with resistance, and North Carolina authorities have classified her as an absconder, urging the public to provide information on her whereabouts. Under Virginia law, harboring a fugitive is a serious offense that could lead to significant legal consequences, including jail time if she's to be found involved. Now, this is Ms. Thompson. Nikia Monique Thompson. Offender number 0898340. 36 years old. And what has she been out there doing? An active order of arrest issued in 2012 for violation for 2012. It's 13 years she's been out. Violating probation remains in effect. Thompson's criminal record is extensive with convictions, including contributing to the delinquency of a minor, child abuse, possession of burglary tools, third-degree larceny, assault and battery, trespassing, shoplifting, resisting arrest, disorderly conduct, possession of marijuana, driving with a suspended license, and malicious conduct while incarcerated. So, it's not like, she's was on probation for shoplifting from Walmart. You know what I'm saying? She's not in trouble. It's not just a little minor issue. She got in a bar fight and she was on probation for a bar fight. No, yeah. Child abuse, delinquency of a minor, assault and battery. These are some fairly serious charges. And an attorney general that stated that no one was above the law evidently felt her niece was above the law.
Nobody's above the law except for her, apparently.
And, her family members. Sources allege Thompson's been using this property as a hideout, raising questions whether James is aware of her grandniece's fugitive status. She could spend up to 5 years in prison. I'd love to see that. I know this is being a little bit more than just petty. But with all the crap that woman has pulled, I don't care if, with a combination of all the charges brought against her, and she spent 5 years in prison for all these fraud charges, and her total and for this, and her total jail time was 5 years with no probation. I'd be satisfied. I would be satisfied. Of course, she'd lose her position of being attorney general, and no law firm would really want to hire her as sitting on the board of directors and having her name up on the marquee as, James and Company or anything like that. No, nobody's going to put her name out there. We've got Letitia James, former attorney general. That's not going to work. So, it's her life would be effectively over. Now she's in her 50s or 60s.
Yeah.
So it's I'd like to see her spend 5 years in prison. I'd like to see her get a $500,000 fine, and that basically ruin her life. Bring her to where she's got to sell all her properties in order to pay the fines. And she moves into a 1-bedroom apartment somewhere that she's got to pay $2,000 or $3,000 a month rent on, and try to do that while on Social Security.
Yeah.
All of her other monies has been taken away from her. So I know that this is being kind of petty-ish, but maybe cruel. But Letitia James has just gotten to be one of the most evil people that I've got. Next to, there is one other. There's a DA here in Florida that I'd love to see. Oh my God, how'd she get inside that python? Speaking of pythons,
Yeah.
you know, yeah, they find the python with a huge lump in it, where it ate, and everyone thinking maybe it got a calf or something. It turns out it's her. It's that Soros down in South Florida
Yeah.
that just put a guy out on bail with $1.
Yeah.
That
Is no good.
this woman is she should not be anywhere near law, except on the criminal side of it.
Well, the thing of it is I think people are starting to realize that this stuff's not working out, and the tide will turn.
Well, all I
And
can
I'm
say
here
is I
for it.
hope so. All I can say is I hope so, because some of these DAs and attorney generals, they are nothing but crooks.
Yeah, big time. And on one side of their mouth, nobody's above the law, but on the other side of their mouth, I don't have to abide by the law because I'm all that in a bag of chips.
Right.
So yeah, it's just their time is coming. It's just a matter of
Hey,
letting it come.
have you heard of Megan Whitfield?
I have.
Wingfield.
Name sounds familiar.
She's she's running for office in Kentucky for the House of Representatives. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
This is how she announced, her first big.
Hi, I'm Megan Wingfield, and I'm running to be your next Congresswoman in Kentucky's 2nd District. And over the last few months, with your help, we've went over to 8 different counties, going to county fairs, protests, meetings, picnics, Democratic Party meetings, and getting to talk to so many people throughout the district. And through that, we have made so many great connections and heard lots of great stories. But now we want to get back to our roots, to get back to what started this campaign to begin with. So meet me here, where it all began. Right here at Fountain Square in downtown Bowling Green, October 11th, this Saturday at 12 p.m. Meet me here, and let's have a conversation about next steps, how we can build a better future, and what.
When I first saw this video, I thought it was a parody, a satire.
Yeah.
But it was not. This is how this woman dressed for this political announcement.
Yeah.
Now, I've seen women and men, but I've seen women dressed like this in Walmart.
Yeah, it looks like a Walmart shopper.
Okay. I've seen them like this in the bar at 2:00 in the afternoon. The bar opens at noon and they're standing there waiting for the bar to open up.
Yeah.
Dressed like this. I've seen them out roaming the streets at 1:00 in the morning, stopping in at the hotel, asking if they could use our bathroom. Dressed like this. Not pulling in a car or a motorcycle or anything, not even on a bicycle. Just walking the streets where there are no houses. It's nothing but businesses. At 1:00 in the morning, asking if we've got a bathroom they could use. I personally, I stopped allowing people dressed like this that walked in off the street wanting to use our bathrooms. I stopped, I put a out of order sign on it, chemicals in use.
Yeah.
Whether, I mean, yeah, I did clean the bathroom, but I'm sorry, man, but I got chemicals in there, and the law prohibits me from allowing anybody from using that bathroom while I got the chemicals in there. I mean, I don't want to burn your butt when you're sitting on the toilet seat because of the chemicals. But basically, because I got tired of cleaning up the blood and the needles and crap.
Yeah.
One time it was so bad, it was literally so bad, I had to call in one of these companies that do that, that they specialize in cleaning up humid residue, blood, urine, fecal matter. That's what there are companies that do that.
Yes, there are. Actually, I had a friend of mine who used to work for one of those companies.
And we actually had to pay him like $800 to come in and clean up our public bathroom
Yeah.
because it was so bad. Because I absolutely refused to go in there. But I have a hard problem, despite the fact she's a Democrat. Okay, let's take her political opinions off the board. Anybody dressed like this, and not even, and let's say it wasn't even the F-Ice t-shirt. There's just some other, it's just a black t-shirt. I could not have enough respect for a person dressed like that to vote for him.
Nope. Well, see, but the thing of it is, I mean, you look at like John Fetterman and how he shows up all the time in his hoodies and baggy shorts.
Yeah.
And stuff. That way of dressing is becoming socially accepted. So, people like us who expect them to at least put on, a shirt with a collar and stuff like that, right? We're they call us old fuddy duddies, and that's life's not like that anymore. Blah blah blah. It is becoming socially acceptable to do that, and I'm kind of like, yeah, that's not a good way to be. That's definitely decline of society.
It's something. I can't accept somebody running for political office dressing like a homeless person.
Yeah.
I mean, I know homeless people who dress better than that.
Yeah.
So, but she's proud of it, despite everybody, talking trash about her dressing like this. She's proud of it. Okay, the government shut down. Let's talk about this for a minute.
The Schumer shut down?
Yeah, the Schubert shut down.
Okay.
Schumer shut down, not Schubert.
Yep.
Schumer. There is a rumor out there that shutdown could have been done a couple days ago.
Yes.
If it weren't for one thing. This Saturday is another No Kings protest.
Yeah.
And Schumer is afraid that if he were to reopen the government before this protest, nationwide protest again, that AOC taking his seat would be almost
certainty,
a certainty, a given.
Yeah.
Therefore, it is going to be a week from today before the government's going to be back in operation. All because of this
Yeah.
protest this weekend. And Schumer and the other Democrats in the leadership are scared crapless about what would be said about them at these protests if they voted to reopen the government before it happened.
Yeah. It wouldn't surprise me.
I read that article and then I went and did a little bit of research, looking where are the No Kings protests going to be on the 18th and what kind of, organizations behind them. And yeah, it's a thing.
It is. I don't know what they're protesting, but okay.
They're protesting Trump.
Yeah, I know, but it's like, yeah, it's the whole that's going to be a hell of a thing to protest against. Just saying.
Yeah, I mean, uh, like we talked about the other day or talked about earlier here, these guys are being awful silent for the most part because Trump has managed to, I mean, the Palestinians are freed. So, and the war is over in Gaza for now. So there's nobody going out there, free Palestine, or
Yeah.
wearing all the kafirs are in the laundromat or being washed and put in vacuum bags, being put away for now.
Yeah.
There's nothing really going on that they can seriously protest right now.
Yeah. I mean, what is Trump doing that he's acting about?
So
That's the whole thing I'm wondering.
the only thing they've got to protest about, they got two things that they can protest about right now: the illegal immigrations, Tom Holman, and everything that's going on with ICE, and this Qatar, whatever, going into Minot, building some barracks, some hangar space, and an operation center. And when I say operation center, I'm talking aircraft operations. It's where people who aren't in the military have never dealt with this before.
Right.
What does contributing to the delinquency of a minor mean? It could be anything from giving them drugs to giving them alcohol to taking them out with you as you're shoplifting, teaching them how to shoplift.
Letting them come over to your house, hang out instead of going to school.
Yeah.
Minor things like that.
So
it can mean a lot.
Yeah, and anything that does, that sits there and is teaching the kid how to be a criminal or do things that are in violation of the law. But anyway. So but this operations, when I was at Luke Air Force Base back in 1978, 79, Germans had their own barracks. They actually had their own chow hall built into the barracks. They had their own operations center. They had their own maintenance hangar. Germany paid for all of that to be built because the Germans were over learning how to fly the F-15. They've learned, the F-15s and F-4s. They had their own little section there that we really had nothing to do with because the Germans paid for everything that was going on there. The only thing we did was, give them airspace, air traffic control, that kind of stuff, and the SPs patrolling. But that was it. I mean, they paid for the fuel for the jets. They paid for the parts for the, the parts came from us, but that's, we were teaching them how to do maintenance on the jets.
Well, I'm sure they were
Yeah.
paying for it.
Yeah, they used our supply system, but they probably
Right.
had their own, they probably had their own codes.
So even if they use our supply system, right? They still, the money comes from elsewhere,
Right.
even though, so yeah, they probably were paying for their spare parts as well.
And I imagine that's what's going to happen up there at Minot.
Yeah, more than likely. I'm just, me personally, I'm just not really comfortable with Qatar being there, but that's just me.
I'm not extremely comfortable with it myself.
But I don't
If it
know how that
wasn't,
relates to
if
Trump being a
it,
king.
if it wasn't for, but then remember, this all started under the Biden administration.
Yeah, that's true.
The sales of the aircraft and everything started under the Biden administration, not under the Trump. Because something like this doesn't happen in just a couple of short months.
No, it does not. It takes a long time to put all this stuff together.
And
I still wonder how any of that has to do with Trump being a king. Just saying.
well, the worst, and I can almost understand where they're coming from with immigration law enforcement.
Yeah, that
I can understand
where that could be misconstrued. Yeah,
where that can be twisted.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I see that, but that's about it.
But but it's like Portland just had a naked bicycle protest.
Yeah, I saw that
this weekend. These idiots laid down on a bridge naked to stop traffic, to pretend to be dead.
They had a die-in.
Yes.
Yeah. That's not a good way to get people on your side, just saying.
And then they went and protested naked at the ICE Center. And
well, they really showed them, huh?
Yeah, very cold weather.
Yeah.
And they brought children with them. Now, there's no reports whether or not the children were also naked. But it's bad enough that children were there with naked adults around. But Portland, like parts of California, public nudity is not against the law there.
No.
So, and do you know a content creator, Mally Mouse?
Who?
Mally Mouse, Mally.
No, I do not.
She lives in California. She, up until this year, 90% of her content was Disney based. She's she's one of these people that cosplays at Disney. She's got she buys a year-round pass for.
Oh, so she's one of those weird Disney adults. Okay, gotcha.
Well, she's not. No, she's not weird. She really isn't. When I started, when I subbed to her and started watching her stuff, is mostly because she was fun to watch. Very lighthearted. Very lighthearted.
Is she a TikToker?
Yeah, she's also on YouTube.
Oh, okay.
That's where I first started watching her, was on YouTube. And then I couldn't. Then caught her on TikTok. But anyway, this year she's gotten she's gotten away from Disney almost entirely and gone political. And she said something that actually it sort of made sense to me, which is scary. Talking about the state of California.
Yeah.
Most of us, when we think of California, we got Newsom, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Hollywood. That's what we think of.
Yeah.
Okay. She brought up the fact that almost 80% of California is farmland.
Yep. San Joaquin Valley. I used to live in the San Joaquin Valley. It's all
Okay, so you're a lot more familiar with this than I am. So you can tell me if she was stretching the truth here a bit. But she said the blue areas of California and the crooked politicians like Newsom is the only reason why California, those big cities,
Yep.
Hollywood, LA, San Francisco, and Sacramento. Sacramento's the capital of California, right?
Yep. It sure is.
Okay.
Sacramento.
Those 4 areas of California, which are the most populous areas of California, is the only reason California is a blue state.
Pretty much, yeah. Well, so so just so you know, for years, I lived in San Diego, California.
Okay.
So San Diego County and Orange County, California, which is just above San Diego, right before you get to La La Land, were the 2 of the most reddest, most conservative places on the planet. And slowly over the years, through cheating and other means, they have turned them blue. But like Johnny Bonsaco, right? He lives up in the mountains of California. I'm familiar with the area where he lives. And for the most part, it's a pretty red area, and it's really gorgeous up there. It's really nice. I am very familiar with the San Joaquin Valley, which again, very, very red, very common sense, good people live there. And yeah, so she is not wrong. She is not wrong at all. Most of California is not like what you see on the news and that. It's much more diverse place than you would give it credit for.
And again, I've fallen prey to the idea that all California was like we see.
No, not at all. I could take you places that would blow your mind.
That my one and only trip to California was the one trip to Bakersfield for 3 days.
The streets of Bakersfield.
So went to a nightclub with a friend of mine and his family, and they knew the band, and they got the band leader to sing a love song to me as a joke.
That's funny.
Oh yeah. It's like, you've got to be kidding me. Because
You assholes.
well, at the time, I'm 18 years old, maybe 19.
Yeah, I get it.
And I'm still fresh off the farm.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Okay. And he knew that would be very, very uncomfortable with gays.
Yeah, see, I had friends that did things like that to me too back in those days. So I know exactly what you're saying, and it's a funny joke, and I probably would have been in on something like that myself because it is funny.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well,
And
they also they also paid a prostitute to come up and hang all over me and grab me by my butt and
Yeah.
such. They just I never when I refused to go back to whenever he invited me to go back over to his parents' place again for a weekend. I always found something else I had to do.
Yeah.
I mean, he was a great guy. I worked with him and such, but I was not going to go do anything. Allow myself to be that brunt of that joke again.
Yeah. Well, probably wouldn't have done it again. That was probably the initiation. But
So,
you never know.
yeah. And not when it cost me a couple $100 that weekend. And in 1978, I only got paid $400 a month, so half a month's pay was gone in that weekend. That was a very
Yeah.
expensive weekend back then.
I remember those days.
Yeah. $404 a month before taxes was my pay. But I mean, I lived in the dorms, lived in the barracks, ate in the chow hall.
The dorms. Yeah,
You
see,
know.
in the real military, we have barracks.
Well, it was the barracks. We called it the barracks. It was years later before dorm. I never lived in the dorms. I never had that luxury.
Yeah.
Other than for a very short stint, I always had at least 2 roommates. And a 30
2 roommates.
They gave us a 30 by 30 room, and 3 of us had to live in it.
Jeez, you guys been in lap of luxury.
So
I had to stay in open bay barracks where there's like 80 of us.
now
Jeez.
once we got out of basic, we were out of the open bays. Even in tech school, I had the best room ever for most of my military career. When I only had one roommate in tech school, and it was a 25 by 25 foot room. That was great. Had plenty. Have you seen these new housing units they've got for the single military guys, especially the Marines?
No.
Oh my God. They put our hotel room to shame. They're actual suites. They are actual suites with walk-in closets, a kitchenette. We weren't even allowed to have a hot plate. I had to go get permission from the first sergeant to buy a crock pot for in the room. A crock pot and a Mr. Coffee maker. I had to get permission from the first sergeant to put those in the room. Now they got kitchenettes in there. Absolutely amazing what these new guys have.
Oh yeah, they got it so much easier. But sometime remind me when we're not on stream, and I will tell you what my nephew is currently active duty Navy is going through.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
Not something I feel comfortable sharing on stream.
Shroom, you are a dumbass.
What?
I just closed a tab that I didn't want closed. Actually, I closed 2 tabs I didn't want closed. So let me see if I can find it again. Was it under mine or was it under if it was under mine or if it was under Libs for TikTok? There's a college kid. Oh, did you Aaron Spencer, an Arkansas father accused of killing a sex predator who he found in a car with his missing daughter.
Yep.
is now running for the sheriff of the county.
I would say elect that guy. I know who he is because I remember that story.
Yes.
Remember that story?
Spencer
Wow.
says he's running because the justice system failed to protect his daughter. Yeah, did he actually go to trial, or was the charges dropped?
That I don't remember. I don't remember, but I do remember the story because I'm like, as a dad, I'd have done the same thing.
Yes. Oh, definitely. If I found anybody out there messing with my children, my daughter-in-law, my children, they they would
They would not be long for this world.
they would find pieces. They would not find him in a complete mess. Okay, I guess I'm going to have to go to Libs of TikTok to find it because I did not. It's about a college kid. Oh crap, I don't want that. He's being threatened by one of his professors.
Yeah.
Because Libs of TikTok. Here we go. Oh no, that's not it. You ever have one of those days where your fingers just don't want to work for you?
Yeah.
Uh, I was trying to stack some stuff up and it just would not work. I mean, my hands were shaking so bad that it wasn't. Okay. That guy who made a video threatening ICE have been arrested. You don't make threats and then announce them on the internet. That's stupidity of the first order. Yeah, another liberal upset because singing national anthem. Oh, Netflix lost more than $15 billion in 1 week.
Good.
Now that's I am so irritated with myself here. Well, because it irritates me that I closed the tab that I wanted to talk about how even high schools now are threatening kids that will not abide by the leftist agenda, and not just did he really say what? Did he really mean what you think he meant when he said that type threats? Serious. Okay, I can't find that, but since we talked about California, here's one that you'll like. Okay, let me Do 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 do. There's supposedly the ballots in California for this new election. Here we
Yeah.
go. There, it's basically a one item election on being able to redistrict the state.
Yeah, that whole bullshit. It's already
Okay.
so redistricted that. See, here's the thing. By redoing all this redistricting, California has redistricted to the point where places that had a chance of not being super blue and liberal and all that no longer have that chance because their votes have been so diluted.
Yep.
And California's still, well, if Texas can do it, we can do it, but they just did it. And so they're just doing it to be spiteful little babies. And this whole thing just all because you look at most states that we consider deep blue states where the population isn't all that deep blue, but because of the way they gerrymander the districts, there's no representation for the people that aren't blue. And that's the real problem.
Yeah.
Okay. I gotta make a all right, I
Okay.
gotta put you on hold for a bit.
All right.
Vote is cast right here. Put the ballot in this way. Vote is cast right here.
If you're voting no on the authorization for the redistricting plan that they want, you put it into the envelope the way it's supposed to go. And you can actually see through that hole in the envelope
Put the ballot
that
in
the
this
vote
way.
is no. That's why would they have a hole there? Other than to see if there's a black mark there, you know that it's a vote no. And oops, that ballot got lost. That's an abs. The scams that these people run. They're absolutely scary. Uh, let's see. I don't care much about the football. Uh, this old former player turned announcer, whatever, or the player that got into a fight after the game between the Chiefs and the Lions. That's making big news. Oh my God. I'm happy and hoping that at least the next 6 months, this peace deal lasts. Do I have any faith that it will? No, because those people there hate Israel so much that I don't think they'll give them peace. I just don't think it's going to happen. There'll be a suicide bomber. There'll be somebody, planting bombs in a truck or something. Um, so it's absolutely scary this time. I don't want to see more people die. I don't want to see Israel back into a war again. But they've been in a war now forever, it seems like. Anyway, well, that's about all I have got for today because I closed some tabs I didn't want to close. Digi, okay, you have a good day, Digi. Enjoy yourself. Have a good day at work. I hope everything goes well for you. And just as a final thing, today I made my 66th trip around the sun. Son of a gun. 66 times I've been around that old fireball. I'm kind of happy about that. Everybody have a good day. Enjoy yourselves.